Okay, so welcome everyone. This is going to be the Clark Still tutorial. Clark is his last name. Still is his last name. Excuse me. Finally, I know a lot of people have been asking me about this one. Clark is, at the end of the day, I think a simpler character. He doesn't really have a whole lot of complicated stuff. His combos can be difficult if you're new. Understanding juggle properties will be important when you actually are comboing with him, and understanding how the grabs work is going to become pivotal in how you actually play him. So let's go ahead and show you what's going on here. Okay. As far as the normals go, standing normals, he's got some pretty okay ones. His standing jab, pretty standard. Anti-air hop is in front of him. You can use it in strings and combos. Let's see. There's no close A. Whoops. That's not what I'm looking for. It's possible to link two jabs together. It's pretty tough though. But you're going to be using it in a lot of your strings. Other than that, standard anti-air and up close string use. That's pretty much it. You're not going to use it for much else. Standing hard punch. It reaches really far, or should I say relatively far. I would say this reaches about a little under half screen. Notice when you're under the timer, it gets close but not quite. Okay. When you're under the guard gauge like that, you're close but no cigar. Okay, so it reaches about, I'd say, a third of the screen. Okay, and it's not cancelable. Okay, so the best you can do is try to like raw HD activate or something. But other than that, far standing C is a decent poke from this range. Okay, it's decent. It's slower than Rolf's, same as in the case of standing hard kick. Just a little slower, but they both reach really far. If your opponent is in the range where your crouching D doesn't quite reach and you don't want to hop, standing C and standing D are both pretty okay pokes. Really nothing wrong with it. Like, you could run up and hit hard kick all day, and that would be pretty okay. Now, let's see. Let's see. The standing light kick is a cancelable normal, and you don't have a close one. Okay. Okay. You don't have a close light kick, but if you use it in strings, you can absolutely cancel it and use it in combos. It's not a great poke. It doesn't have a lot of range. It doesn't really counter poke a whole lot. I usually reserve this for close range use. I don't really use it for much else. Now, Clark does have a close hard punch and a close hard kick. In both cases, it can go into his command normal, which allows combos and other things. Okay, also HD activations into combos. If I can do it. There we go. Close hard kick, though, because it only hits once, it does a little more damage. His close hard punch hits twice. Now, an interesting thing about his close hard punch, the second hit is cancelable into a particular special, okay? The second hit of close C cannot be canceled into a super, or into a Neomax, or into his regular command grab. Or into his Gatling attack. Let's see if I can get it over here. Yeah, there's the second hit of his close C just has a special property where, for whatever reason, you can cancel it into his mashy punch, the Vulcan punch. Okay, it's a special property. You can almost use it as a little ghetto confirm like that. Okay, there's various things you can do with it. If you get really, really, really good and you can confirm off just this too, then you will be able to do some increased damage. But I would say as a beginner, that's very, very tough to think about. Don't really worry about that too much. But the first hit of close C is fully cancelable. You can cancel it into anything. Just like that. like that. Just like that. There's plenty of things you can cancel it into. Okay. Let's see, what else? His standing CD, this actually is off the ground, and so this will avoid lows at certain timings. Just to demonstrate. Good thing these sticks have turbo on them. There we go. See that? Let's see if I can get this to work here. Okay. It's really tough to see, but let me go ahead and try this one more time here. Let's see if I can get just a nice snapshot of this. Oh, it's so hard. Some of you might have seen it already, but I'm just trying to get a nice snapshot. Whew. Okay, I'm still hitting him during the startup. Take my word for it. This absolutely does go over some lows. So if you think your opponent is going to do something like... let's go ahead and do it this way. Bam! Alright, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. That will completely miss. Obviously, this is timing specific, as I failed so many times to get the right timing. But this does go over lows, so if your opponent is doing a lot of like crouching light kicks or crouching hard kicks or anything else that skates the ground like that, this does have the ability to go over it. So if they overuse that, you can use your standing CD. You can use the standing CD to go ahead and actually do something with that. Now, we got standing normals, crouching normals. Only 4, of course. Now, his crouching light kick and his crouching jab. Okay, he cannot chain his A to his B. He cannot chain the jab to the short. He can link the jab to itself, but it's pretty tough. In fact, I'm not sure if he can link the jab to itself. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he can combo 2 jabs in a row. Now, what you can do with Clark is light kick to light punch, or crouching light, standing light. Even if your opponent is crouching, this will still work. Okay. But basically, these are going to be the 2 strings that you use the most. And you can absolutely use them for pressure, for combos. Don't forget to re-hop after 1 hop. After 2 attacks, after 3 attacks, 1, stop, okay? There's plenty that you can do as far as his crouching normals are concerned, but if you are in your opponent's face and you're trying to get some offense going, it's going to be crouching A and crouching B that are going to do most of the work, okay? And you pretty much can only combo from B to A, but not from A to B, not from light punch to light kick. And you're going to end up starting most of your strings with crouching light kick for that reason. That's okay. If your opponent starts predicting that light kick, all you have to do is either run forward or don't do it, and there's various options that you can do from there. Okay. Let's see, what else? We've got the crouching hard kick and the crouching hard punch. Now, if you look at the range of the light punch and the light kick here, these both miss here. Okay, the crouching hard punch and the crouching hard kick still miss. Okay, so that's the crouching hard punch hits first. Okay, so the crouching hard punch and the crouching hard kick have more or less the same distance. Maybe we're talking about a pixel difference here between the two. They reach about the same length, okay? Now the difference between them, really there isn't a whole lot other than the fact that crouching hard kick is a low and then it trips, okay? Both of these normals are cancelable. Okay? They can both be canceled into the command normal, and they can both be canceled into special moves. Okay? Now, why you would want to cancel the trip to a special, there's not a whole lot of great reasons, but when I get to this command normal in a second, I can talk about that a little more. But the crouching hard punch you absolutely might be able to counter poke with and actually get a quick little combo off of. You know, if you're really good. But that usually doesn't come into play a whole lot in most high-level KOF matches. Let's see. Next would be jumping normals, and this is where Clark really excels. Clark has some excellent, excellent jumping normals, and you really need to take note of each of them. He's one of the characters for which you're probably going to use all 5 when you get really good. Okay, first and foremost, I want to go over the jumping light punch. Excuse me. This is probably his best jump-in attack. Okay, if you look at his light kick, in fact, let's go ahead and do it this way. Okay. If you look at his light punch and light kick, you can see that the light kick has an excellent horizontal angle, and this is going to be your preferred air-to-air move, okay? What you need to be wary of with his jumping light kick is that it misses on everyone in the game if they do crouch, okay? It does, okay? Higher level players will understand why that's a risk. Everyone else, I absolutely will explain that later on in future videos, okay? His jumping light punch has a good air-to-ground angle. It goes straight down, okay? If your opponent is crouching, and on the ground a whole lot, crouch guard, okay? Okay, I gotta check myself there. The light kick doesn't miss on everyone. It misses on a lot though, it really does. Also, it doesn't have a lot of active frames. So you need to hit this button really late. See that? That was too early. If you want this to hit them, you need to hit it even later. Okay, too early? Perfect. Too early? Too early? Too early? Perfect, okay? That jumping light kick is difficult to actually get to work on a crouching opponent, okay? It's going to be really, really tough for you to time that. But my point is, if you want to do an attack from the air to the ground, use jumping light punch instead, because it hits higher. And if you hit this button earlier, it's still going to connect. And it's still going to combo as well. Okay. Okay. Even if you hit it kind of high, you can still get a combo off of this. Okay. Like seriously, I hit that at the apex. I still got the combo. So his jumping light punch. Let's say you get a knockdown. I mean, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but Clark players are going to recognize this knockdown. If you're going to jump in on this, light punch is going to be a really, really good choice here. Okay. Hard punch is another option. Okay. Okay, hard punch is going to be another option. It does do decently air to ground. The issue is that it's not great air to air, and the timing for air to ground is rather specific, okay? Let's set him to crouch guard here. Okay. It's a little bit more active than the light kick, but not a whole lot more, okay? You still have to time this somewhat late, but also because of its increased startup, it's possible for you to do this too late. Okay? So, if you're going to jump in, hard punch is a decent option. What you need to know about the hard punch and the thing that separates it as far as air to ground, the thing that really separates it is that jumping hard punch can actually cross up. It's very difficult, okay? It doesn't have a gigantic cross-up hitbox. It's very small. Very difficult to get this move to cross up. But if you can do it consistently, here's a quick little setup for you. If your opponent holds down back, do this. Then you can get it to cross up like that. Oh. Woo! Okay. This can cross up, and because it can cross up, that's what separates it from the other jumping normals, okay? He doesn't have another cross up. okay? The jumping light kick, you're never going to get this to cross up. The jumping light punch, you're pretty much never going to get this to cross up. No matter how much you try. But the jumping hard punch can cross up. And it's this particular thing that makes it worth using, particularly after a grab, okay? Okay, let's see. Okay. Next we've got his jumping hard kick. Okay. Now his jumping hard kick has a really good upwards angle on it, and this upwards angle allows him to actually beat a lot of air moves. The issue with this is because it angles upwards, it only has one specific use, and this is basically only air to air. Many other normals you can sort of fudge it, like jump light punch is active a long time, so if they run into it, it might work. Jumping light kick, it can connect on the ground, even though it's preferred for air to air. But jumping hard kick really only has one use. It needs to be air to air. But as far as his air to airs are concerned, it's pretty quick and it's usually consistent. Okay. Especially if you hop. Okay. This is really good, like as a neutral hop. If you think your opponent is going to jump at you, you can use the jump D to stuff a lot of things. And it's more or less the same with jumping light kick. So, as a rule of thumb, your jumping kicks are good air to airs, and your jumping punches are good air to ground. Okay? Jumping light punch is preferred though air to ground, and jumping light kick is preferred air to air only because of its quickness. Okay? Hard kick can do better in certain situations, but I tend to use light kick more just because it's straight horizontal, and straight horizontal air to air normals are really excellent in general in KOF13. Just ask Takuma, Karate, Iori, Leona, and a bunch of other characters that have them. Okay, so now last but not least, we've got the good one, the other good one, the jumping CD. Okay, now this jumping CD, just like all the other ones, has a lot of block stun, pushes away really well, gives a combo and counter hit. But what this has is, as far as grapplers are concerned, probably one of the better hitboxes that is available. It has a slight air-to-ground angle on it, and it has a slight air-to-ground angle on it, and just due to the fact that it also is only a slight angle, it's actually pretty decent air-to-air as well. Okay, let's go ahead and have the dummy do the same thing. Okay, so especially if you neutral jump, this is actually quite a good anti-air as well. Just like every other anti-air in the game, it's going to depend on the timing and angle. Okay, if you jump late, if you hop, if you jump away, depending on how the hitboxes interact. Okay, this may trade, this may win, but the jumping CD is a workhorse. Okay, you will be using this most of the time when you jump in or otherwise. Okay, it's great air to air and great air to ground overall. If you say to yourself, I want to air to ground, but I'm not sure if I want to jab, use CD. If you say to yourself, I want to jump at him and hit a button early to air, but I'm not sure if I want to hit the hard kick or the light kick, hit CD. It's a good general purpose normal. You can use it most of the time in most situations, and if you lose, it was probably the timing of the jump, okay, more often than not, or the timing of the normal. Jumping CD just overall does a lot of work. Just like with Takuma's jumping CD, and just like with King's jumping CD, this is more or less good enough that you can use it on like 90% of your jump-ins, and just depending on the timing of the button, this can beat, you know, most of what you need it to beat, or get you the block stun that you really need it to get. Excuse me. So, that said, those are the jumping normals. Let's get into the command normals. There's a couple big ones you need to know. Okay, he only has two. Most characters only have one, honestly. Jet upper. it hits upwards, so you might say to yourself, is this a good anti-air, particularly a vertical one? And the issue is, it actually is a decent anti-air, but the problem is you have to hold down forward, okay? There's a lot of good vertical anti-airs that involve a neutral, or you can hold forward or back, and that they will work. Okay? The thing about this is that, oh, that was a bad example. The thing about this normal is it's not as fast on startup as most of the other ones. God, I'm beating my own examples here. There we go. Like, the thing is, if you try to react to a jump in with this, you're probably going to be too late considering the startup of this move, okay? If we take a mid-screen example, okay, the hitbox on it is mostly vertical. So most people that are jumping in at a particular angle, you know, if you try to react, you're going to be a bit slow. Now, I'm hitting the button too early. That's why it's actually working in these scenarios, okay? And what are you going to do, hold down forward? Like, holding down forward is a terrible idea to anti-air, okay? This is not a completely useless anti-air move, as much as I wish it was, because I just don't want to think about it too much. It's more useful for the close range strings, just like with other characters. Normal, command normal, cancel to a special, okay? And you can use this for a basic 2-hit confirm that you can always use, okay? You can also use it on block to set up interesting scenarios, okay? But you can kind of use it as an anti-air, but I'll just warn you, it usually will not work once your opponent knows how to move around, how to run up and then backdash, how to run up and then block, how to run up and then trip into something else, how to run up and then do a quick hop versus run up and then a hyper hop, excuse me, a regular hop and then a hyper hop, okay? So, versus run up and a full jump, okay? If your opponent is mixing up their approach options, down forward A is generally going to be too slow to use as a consistent anti-air. There are plenty of anti-airs that have specialized use. This one is good vertically, but it's also kind of slow on startup, which makes me want to not use it at all. An anti-air in KOF needs to be quick, because if it's not quick, then it's not going to be consistent against good opponents, okay? That said, go ahead and try it as an anti-air, take it as far as you can. At a beginner's level, you may be able to get some slight success with it. Okay, now, he's got another command normal here, the step. Oh, in case I forgot to mention, the command normal is, of course, cancelable into other specials. Okay, so obviously there's a few combos you can use it with. Now, next we've got the step, forward both kicks. This is an interesting command normal for a couple of reasons. Number one is that you can drive cancel into it, okay? Literally, you can do a special and then hit step. Okay, which is something that you cannot do with most command normals. This makes it unique. Okay, there's lots of interesting setups you can do with it. Okay, I'll get to the air throw in just a moment. But more specifically, what you can try to use it for is to cancel normals into step when you have close range on your opponent. Okay, if you keep canceling things into step and you mix up what you cancel into step, you may make it really, really tough for your opponent to get out of, whatever situation you've got them in, okay? Now, I need to make sure you understand, frame data-wise, the actual legitimacy of this, okay? If your opponent blocks a normal and you cancel it to step, pretty much no matter what you cancel it into, no matter what, close C, notice he jumps first. Close hard kick, notice he jumps first. Crouch hard kick, notice he jumps first. Then what if we use the down forward A? He still jumps first, okay? What if we use crouching jab? He jumps first. Crouching C, he jumps first. There's not a single cancelable normal you can cancel into step and half frame advantage, okay? In fact, let me go ahead and give you an example here. This is actually punishable on block by most characters in the game. Wrong buttons. Okay. If you do the C down forward A into step, I told him to block as soon as possible. Okay, obviously that's a little slow, but I want to dramatize the point. Okay, it is possible for most characters to get an actual punish here. See that? That close hard kick actually punished. Okay, if your opponent knows you're going to cancel into step and they mentally prime themselves, they can absolutely punish this. So you need to make sure you don't abuse normal into step, because what's going to happen is better players are going to say, that's not real, and they can absolutely punish that. Not to mention the most common thing you're going to do off of a cancel into step is, of course, cancel into a command grab, or excuse me, land and then command grab, and that's going to be the most obvious thing that you could possibly do. It's the most predictable thing. It's the most beginner thing to do, okay? Now on hit, the story's a little different, okay? It's not a whole lot different, but on hits, okay, down forward A, I still jump first. What about close D? How about that? I'm still jumping first. What about low jab? On hit. Really doesn't matter if it's on hit or on block. The defender is still going to jump first. It really doesn't matter, okay? Now I haven't said CD yet. Okay? The standing CD into the step is -1. Okay? Now what does that mean? That -1 means that if your opponent has a 1-frame command grab, they can punish this. Okay? I set the dummy to do CD, step, and then hold up during the step. If it's possible for him to jump this command grab, he will. But oh wait, he can't. Not possible, okay? It might be -2. I have to double check. It's going to depend on what the actual height is and what -1 looks like. But, okay, if your opponent has a 1-frame command grab, standing CD into step can also be punished, but it'll be tougher, okay? Now, if the opponent does not have a 1-frame command grab, this is almost a really legit mix-up. It's a question of, if they try to avoid your command grab by jumping, you might be able to catch with a normal, okay? Now, because you are minus, though, they're probably going to be able to jump away, and you're not going to catch them on the ground. So what you want to do is try to mix up your approach after you cancel into step, because you might be able to get something else instead. Okay? Canceling an anti-air jab into a step is also another really interesting use for it. Okay? Let's say you anti-air someone with a jab. Right there, you could cancel it to a step to try to continue your offense. Okay? Okay. So, anytime you anti-air with a cancelable normal, like say a close C or a standing A, you might be able to hop, like cancel it to a hop to continue the pressure. And even if you just air to air, let's take this example. You can still use step to approach in that sense, especially if you hop towards your opponent. Let's say you hop away. You can still use the step. Almost any time there's an air-to-air situation, you can use the step to try to regain the offensive momentum. Okay? And depending on where you air-to-air and where they are position-wise, you might be able to cross under. Okay? So you can cancel into it, you can drive cancel into it, which I'll get into in a little bit. And you can cancel into it from normals on the ground to try to fool them, but keep in mind it's a very low-level trick and it won't work against great players. Okay? But again, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. If it works on the people you play against, continue to use it until you come across someone who does beat it. Keep in mind that it will take, your opponent needs to be pretty high level for that to stop working. For them to start punishing it, excuse me. Whew! Okay. Now I need to get into his normal throws, okay? He actually has two. He has a ground throw and he has an air throw. One of the few characters with an air throw. Now, if you're all familiar with passive move, okay? Passive move, right here, means that after I knock them down, if it's possible for them to quick recover, then they will, okay? So, when you land his crouching hard kick, they can quick recover, right? If you land Clark's normal throw, they cannot quick recover. So you get the 100 damage, and then you can absolutely get some sort of guaranteed mix-up there, okay? You can try to run forward and go into a cross-up if you space it perfectly. It's really tough. Woo! Okay, possible but difficult, okay? Remember, the cross-up on his jumping C is very small. But if you practice this enough, it's feasible. There it is. Woo! By the way, if they turn around and you land on the same side, that did cross up. They have to block it the other way. Then they have to block the correct way again. This actually makes them block the cross up so that they have to hold, like in this example. Let's see if I can get it again here. Woo! There it is. So right there, in order to block that, they have to hold left. Then, after you land, they have to hold right again. Oh, man. It's nasty. I'm hoping the new Killer Instinct has a nasty combo, or a ridiculous combo for one of the names. Now. So you can absolutely get more offense on it, okay, and you can do many of the same mix-ups that some other characters can. But at the very least, either get a jump in, or an empty jump into a low, or go for the cross-up, or maybe even an empty cross-up. Empty cross-up is pretty useful with Clark. Woo! Okay. So, that's his normal throw, air throw. Okay, this is going to be important, okay? His air throw is not just an air throw, okay? Let me just show in action here. When you land this air throw, you get a couple things. Number one is you get an untechable knockdown, okay? Remember that the passive move is on. If the... See, passive move is on. It's not possible for them to tech this. So, if you land an air throw, you can do a few things to try to mix your opponent up. Number one is you could step and then try to attack. Number two is you can immediately hop. Maybe with a jab or something else. Okay? And try to get your offense going that way. And of course, you could also empty cross-up, just like off the normal throw. Many of the same setups that work off normal throw work off air throw. It's just a matter of you're further away. Excuse me, you're closer on the air throw. Now this is also important for another reason. Okay? And let me go ahead and record the demo to give you an example. You might come across this scenario a few times as Clark. Okay? Let's say someone jumps at you and you try to use your command grab to reversal them. You know, if they just keep jumping in your face, it can feel like, you know, well, how do I beat someone who just keeps jumping in my face like that? And I'll tell you right now, before I get there, the armor grab, just like with the step shenanigans, is only going to work for so long before your opponents get smart. The armor grab is not going to be consistent in this case. What you need to do in this scenario, okay, what you need to do in this scenario, let's record the dummy to get this right here, is what you want to do is you want to try to jump towards your opponent and snatch him with an air throw. If your opponent keeps jumping in your face like this, hold up forward and hit the hard punch right when you leave the ground. Okay? There's a good chance you're going to snatch them out of whatever they were doing. Okay? Now this is obviously going to depend on what jumping normal they use. Okay? If they do a super deep jumping CD and then do another jump CD immediately, then you don't have time to do this. Okay? I'm holding up forward here, and I don't have time to even leave the ground because of how deep. Look at how low that jumping CD was, how low to the ground it is. Even if I hold straight up, he hits me just before I jump. Like, I'm holding up right now, and I'm basically still in block stun. I've just started to jump here. This is because the jumping CD is so low. And this is a universal thing. Pretty much any character, if they do a jumping CD very low, and then hop again and do their next jumping normal early, they will catch you, and it's not possible for you to act, for the most part, in between those two jumping normals, okay? But if they leave a big enough hole, like in the case of like jump hard punch, even if the jump hard punch is deep like this, it's still not good enough, and you can still land that air throw. And this is something that Clark can really use, and other characters with air throws can use as well, okay? This is a good defensive option if opponents keep jumping in your face. They keep jumping in your face, hold up forward and hit hard punch. And as soon as you knock them down, go back on your offense into something else, okay? You want to make sure you use that air throw liberally until they stay on the ground. And once they stay on the ground, that's when you can start using your other reversals or just blocking more. Now, I've been talking about the grabs and using the grabs a few times. I need to get into the specials so you understand how they work. The Super Argentine Backbreaker is the backbone of his game. Okay? There are 3 versions and they are each distinct from each other. So let's go into what they do. Okay? Let's start with Light Kick. The Light Kick version of the Backbreaker has guard point on it, armor on it, super armor on it. It depends on what you want to call it, but okay. The point is, if they connect with it during the startup, then they'll just sort of tap you and you'll just go through it. Okay? They cannot hit you while you're in the startup of this move. Okay? In fact, just to dramatize, there's a lot of characters that don't have armor on the very first frame of various moves. Clark, however, let's do it that way there. That jumping CD is very, very deep off that knockdown. Okay? If I try to jump or do something else, I'm going to get hit. Okay? It turns out the Light Kick armor grab has armor very, very early into that move, okay? It's possible for you to wake up with this, okay? Especially if they, like, try to attack you with a ground string. If you wake up with the armor grab, there's a very good chance you're just going to beat the string completely and get the grab, okay? You want to make sure that you don't overuse this, okay? And the reason is, at a higher level, let's see if I can get this to work right. The point is, oh, I'm still doing it wrong. If your opponent does a double hop offense, which is fairly common, I would say, in KOF, if your opponent tries to jump at you on your wake up, and there's no time for you to do the air throw, but if you do the armor grab, you'll armor them while they're in the air. If they just hop again, they're going to hit you, okay? There's not much you can do about that. You need to make sure you keep them grounded before you try to go for this, okay? This is something that, as a low-level player, if you're new to KOF13, you need to take note of this. If you just do this all day on wake up, mix up the light one and the hard one, which I'll get to in a moment, the light and the hard, you just sort of mix these up with air throw. I hate to say it, but you are going to win matches on just the strength of those moves alone. It takes a certain amount of reaction time, spatial awareness, and understanding of the mix-up game before players are going to start countering you for doing this, okay? At a low level, especially online, just sort of doing these grabs works really well. So I want to warn you that if you want to be good as a Clark player, you're going to have to learn how to defend without these grabs. Because if you defend completely with these grabs, light grab, hard grab, and air grab, then there's a good chance that a higher level player is going to destroy you by the time you actually get to that level, okay? If you're beginning KOF, I urge you not to use this too much on wake up, because you are going to actually dominate a low level scene if you do use it too much. It's going to take a certain amount of awareness before people start countering it. But once they do, this stops being useful. If you would like proof, watch my matches versus Rennick. He tries to wake up with this. But what I'll do is I'll jump in, and when he doesn't do it, I'll do a ground string. But when he does do it, I'll react with a second hop. I've done it a billion times, okay? It's possible for someone to react to it if they collide with the armor. Okay? Number one, it's reactable, okay? And number two, even if they just hop recklessly, this is never going to work for you, okay? But it is a functional reversal. If they do a ground string, it is going to work if they do 2 attacks, okay? If they only do 1 attack, it's possible for them to react and try to hop or something, but that's much, much tougher than off of a jumping normal, where a higher level player has already set his mind up. If I see that armor, I'll jump again, okay? Just one last time, don't overuse this, but it is a functional reversal. Now, You actually cannot combo into this, okay? It's too slow on startup, okay? You can combo into command grabs in KOF, but you cannot combo to the light grab because of how slow it is, okay? But a different thing you can do with it is you can try to use it when your opponent wakes up, so that if they try to wake up with something, they end up hitting the armor. This includes reversals, by the way. Okay? Let's say I try to... Oh no! I try to wake up with a command grab, I lose, okay? The light grab of the Argentine Backbreaker is actually throw invincible as well as having armor, okay? They cannot wake up with a throw. Like, let's say they try to wake up by holding back and hard punch to try to get that throw. They'll just get the close, because when you activate the light Argentine Backbreaker, you are throw invincible. Okay? So you can't be thrown, and it's got armor on it. So you're just going to collide with it like that. Not much they can do about it. So what they have to do is they have to wait and react, or they have to wake up with something else, like say a backdash or a jump, to avoid that. They could also do anything that's throw invincible to try to avoid that grab. Okay? But if they wake up with something, you are going to armor grab through it, whatever it is. It really doesn't matter what it is. Okay? That armor lasts a long time, and it beats any hit. Oh yeah, and it beats any throw. What they would have to do is they would have to do something that hits for a long time and is throw invincible for that entire duration. Terry's EX Rising Tackle comes to mind. It collides with his armor a few times, but then it actually hits as he goes higher into the air because the armor ends, okay? But most reversals don't really beat the light grab a whole lot, and so if you use this a lot on their wake up, okay, that's when it's a more legit option, okay? You use this just as they wake up, so that if they try to wake up with a reversal or an attack of some kind, they end up colliding with the grab. You get the grab, you get the follow-up, and you get more offense. Okay? So, just to recap, lots of armor on it, difficult to reversal through, throw invincible, decent reversal, but at a low level, don't abuse it. Okay? It serves many, many, many purposes. Okay? Now, the hard kick version. You're going to be using both the light and the hard differently and separately, commonly, with Clark, okay? The hard kick version has simply one frame of startup and is instant. Okay? You can combo into the hard kick version. By canceling any cancelable normal on hit, you can combo into the hard command grab. Now, with both the light and the hard command grab, if they connect, you can input a quarter forward punch as they're coming down. Okay, and you're going to run and elbow them. This is free damage, and you should always take this, okay? If you don't do the follow-up, you get 127, and remember, the passive move is on here, so it's an untechable knockdown. But if you take the elbow, you get a little bit of extra damage, and it's also still an untechable knockdown. There's pretty much no reason not to take the elbow, as far as I know. Okay? Let's just try a little thought experiment here. Maybe it's the elbow. Yeah. Let me just make sure this puts them in the corner here. Maybe I'll learn something new today. Okay, yeah, that still puts them in the corner. Never mind. I still haven't thought of a good reason to not do the elbow. You should pretty much always do the elbow. Whether you do the light or the hard or even the EX command grab, you can always go into the follow-up. That's what that flashing elbow is, okay? Okay? And keep in mind you're going to switch directions. Clark right now is facing to the right. Quarter left is what you're going to need to do. Okay? Similarly, if you're facing to the left, quarter forward to the right is what you're going to need to do. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Now, that hard grab is the comboable one, and it's going to be the one that you're going to be using not only for your combos, but you can also use this one as a reversal. Being that it is a one-frame command grab, this can beat meaty attacks. Okay? If your opponent tries to hit you the moment you get up with something on the ground, you absolutely can beat it no matter what it is with this hard kick version of the command grab. Okay? Let's go ahead and try to get something that's really, really meaty. There we go. Look at that. Now, some of the more astute fighting game players might say, wait, isn't Clark's standing CD unthrowable? It's off the ground. Well, in some other 2D fighters, it probably would be. But off the ground doesn't necessarily mean unthrowable in KOF, and so there it is. That is a meaty jumping CD. If I were to block it or try to move, I would just get hit. Try to backdash. Get hit. Okay, get hit. There's pretty much nothing I can do. But the hard kick version of the command grab, because it'll be only one frame startup, is going to go through it 100% of the time, every time. Interestingly enough, the armor grab might also work here, but it's going to be a question of how smart your opponent is and how long you've been mixing them up. Now, combos, also decent wake up. Armor and throw invincible, and decent as your opponent is waking up, and a decent wake up. So what about EX? Well, the EX command grab and the hard command grab are functionally the same, with only two differences. Okay? Number one, I want to show you this combo. If you do crouching light kick, remember that his crouching light kick isn't cancelable, okay? If you try to do a hard command grab as soon as possible, it will not connect, ever. However, it is possible to make the EX command grab work here. Okay? And this is because the EX grab has additional range. Okay? I don't even need to use the string to show you. Okay? A little too far. Look at that. Okay? From the range where the hard kick grab is just a hair out, just a hair, the EX grab does connect, so it has extra range, okay? Now if we look at the damage of these, the hard version is 158, and the EX is 192. It's not a whole lot of extra damage, so why would you do EX, okay? You might say, well, it's blue and flashy, is invincible on startup. Well, it has one frame of startup, just like the hard kick version, okay? It's not extra invincible. Every single one-frame command grab in KOF is invincible by definition. Remember this meaty setup here? If you do any sort of grab that doesn't have one frame of startup, you will lose, because it will hit the frames of startup that are not active. However, if you do any one-frame command grab, then the moment that you get up, the very first frame that it is possible to hit you, your grab is active. And when an attack and a grab collide on the same frame in KOF13, unless one person is throw invincible, the throw will win. And this is why one-frame command grabs are invincible. They technically don't have any invincibility. They're not like uppercuts where they say, this move doesn't have a hurt box, and this move is completely invincible. That's not what's going on. With a one-frame command grab, it is simply active on the very first possible frame that you can hit someone. Because it is active, and because you are trying to hit them on that one frame, and because throws and attacks have a certain relationship where throws always win, unless the person who's trying to strike you has throw invincibility, that is why this seems like it has invincibility. But it technically doesn't have true invincibility. Okay? And so, when it comes to waking up with a command grab, don't think that the super and don't think that the EX version are any better at waking up than the other ones. If you want to wake up with a command grab, either use the armor grab or use the hard kick, just the regular needleless one-frame grab. Any one-frame grab will have the exact same outcome with the exact same situations. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a super or EX or just the regular one. They're all one-frame grabs, and they're going to beat and lose to the same things. So don't take extra risk trying to think that there's going to be extra invincibility when there isn't. Okay? What the EX grab is good for is it has that extra range, okay? Because it has that extra range, it allows particular combos, okay, that are not possible otherwise. And the other thing is that it can be super canceled on the elbow, okay? When you do land the elbow on the EX grab, you can super cancel that elbow into his super, which by the way, he's only got one. So when I get to it, it'll be a pretty quick explanation, okay? So if you land a combo with Clark, you could combo to the EX grab, and then into a super if you'd like to have bigger damage. The extra range and the super cancelability, okay? If you try to super cancel the hard kick version of the grab, the elbow, it won't work. If you try to super cancel the light version of the grab, into the elbow, it won't work, okay? You can only super cancel the EX version. So this means it has greater damage potential than the other ones. Okay? So you need to know how to utilize all three strengths and how their startup, their timing, the armor on the light, the situations they're useful for as far as combos, mutilus, and otherwise. In order to take full use of Clark, you need to make sure you have a full understanding of the Backbreaker. Okay? And of course the elbow afterwards. Okay? Now, next we've got the Vulcan punch, okay? The Vulcan punch is triggered by hitting 4 punches. If you want to be technical, and I do, probably the fastest feasible way for you to start this up is to double tap one punch button twice. There we go. There we go. Better. Okay. Double tapping is difficult to learn, but if you press the one button really quickly like this, if I'm going to press one button over and over and over, I tend to use my middle and ring fingers, okay? I use my middle and ring fingers when I want to mash something on a stick. You can absolutely trigger this just by hitting one button 4 times. Okay? You can absolutely do that, but it'll just be faster and efficient to learn how to double tap one button twice. Okay? Also, when it comes to these special moves that trigger with punches, okay, by hitting the punch button 4 times, it can be useful to know the different methods you can use to trigger them, okay? And in a nutshell, okay, you can hit the same button 4 times. Okay? You could hit one button 3 times and then the last button. There we go. You could hit one button 3 times then the last button. You could hit one button twice, then the other button twice. You could also hit one button once. Come on, I can get this to work. Let's see if I can get this to work with Clark here. I don't think I can do it off a standing jab. Let's see. Yeah, you can absolutely cancel into it with this method. I don't think I can whiff into it with this method. I'll have to test it more. But if you hit light punch and then 3 hard punches, that'll work too. Let's see here. Take my word on that. It works. I'm pretty sure that works. Somebody else just show a video of Rolf or Joe doing it so you understand that it works. I know it works. See, I just did it. God darn it. There it is. While my input display is still fresh. 1 light punch, 3 hard punches, okay? So, there's only really, and if you go in reverse, okay, hard punch 4 times, three hard and then a light, 2 hard and then 2 light. Yoy. Having the same problem with this method here. Doing 1 and then 3 is pretty tough, it seems. I do believe that does work though. Sorry for the delay there. But you do need to know that there's many different ways for you to trigger it, okay? Okay, now the only methods I found that don't really work are 1-2-1-2, okay? You can't hit hard light, okay? I've tried this at a bunch of different timings, and I haven't gotten it to trigger. Okay? Now if you do light, hard, that also doesn't work. So as long as you don't do ACA, as long as you don't start with ACA or CAC, as long as you don't start with one of those 2 strings, you should be able to hit 3 punches in any order and then hit a 4th punch. Keep in mind that the 4th punch determines the strength of the move, but in the case of Clark, and I believe also Joe and Rolf, and those are the characters that have a mashy punch move, I'm pretty sure that the light and hard version are the same regardless of how you do it, okay? In Clark's case, I'm also pretty sure that is the same. That's the case. That it's the exact same whether you do light version or the hard version. Now, what's the Vulcan punch for? Well, it's not great on block. Let me go ahead and show you that. Okay, it's decent on block. It's gonna be minus, but if you get into a mashing match after this, your opponent is gonna win, okay? So what you want to keep in mind is that this is actually decent to cancel into when you're in your opponent's face. Okay, but the issue is, if you use the command normal, depending on what you went into the command normal from, you might not get all of the hits of the Vulcan punch to be blocked. And because of that, okay, because you don't get all 4 hits to connect, depending on what you do, that means they're gonna jump even sooner, and that you're not gonna get that last hit. The last hit is what makes it close on block. So if you don't get that last hit, then they're gonna be able to punish this more often than not. Okay, this you need to make sure you go in with a particular. You want to make sure you go in with a particular string in mind if you're going to cancel that string into the Vulcan punch, because that way you want to make sure that you get all 4 hits. If you get all 4, then this is decent on block, and you might be able to try to mix them up after this if they don't punish, okay? You're also kind of far away. Now when I say far away, I mean most characters can reach you with like a hard punch or a hard kick or something, but you're also at a range where some characters might miss if they hit their crouching light kick or something. You might be able to counter poke that or hop over it. So, you know, you might be able to do something interesting with this. I would recommend, if you're going to cancel into Vulcan punch, remember how I said the standing hard punch, you could cancel either hit into Vulcan punch? Go ahead and cancel that first hit into Vulcan punch. Just run up and hit hard punch 4 times. If you run up and hit hard punch 4 times, you'll get close hard punch, and then you'll get Vulcan. And you'll get all 4 attacks, and then you can try something else. Okay? Now if it actually hits, you actually get a full juggle state. Let me go ahead and demonstrate that. what you can do with Clark is if you actually land a particular special move, you can actually use the Vulcan Punch to actually continue a combo in the corner. Okay, I'll go over that combo a little bit more later, but the Vulcan Punch, because of its relatively quick startup, and the full juggle state that you get off of it, it's very, very useful in juggles and various combos, and I will show you various combos you can use it in the later section. Woo! Woo! Alright. Now next. Let's see, what have we next? Gatling attack. This is the move I just used. This is a charge move. Heyo. You know what? I gotta go back a step. Hey Juice, is Vulcan Punch invincible? And no. Counter hit. Counter hit. Let's try EX. Counter hit. Okay. Now, I was explaining the mash move and I said you gotta hit 4 punches, so how do you get the EX move? Well, do any of those 3 punch strings that I said work? Anything other than CAC or ABA, or excuse me, ACA. Any 3 punches other than those will trigger. So what I like to do is, I like to double tap one button, then I hit the other button, and then I hit both. Oops. Let's get me some meters so I can know I can do this. Okay. Double tap one button, then hit either, then hit both. There you go. Okay, that's my method, but you could of course just sort of mash a bunch of punches and you'll kind of sort of get it, okay? I've noticed that with the EX mash moves, it doesn't really require that you press the punches at the exact same times. You see that? If you don't hit the buttons at the exact same times, if they're really close together, the game will still give it to you, okay? And as far as the EX version is concerned, okay, the EX version is 0 on block. So if you cancel to the EX one, not only are you moderately eating away at their guard gauge, but you're also putting them in a situation where they have to guess, okay? Clark in your face at frame evenness is not somewhere you want to be. Because if they stayed on the ground there, that armor grab would beat almost everything, okay? Similarly, if you think they're going to jump, go for that air throw. Okay, combine all the concepts that we put together so far, okay? So, sorry I skipped EX Vulcan Punch, but the EX Vulcan Punch on block is a pretty good mix-up, pretty good at eating guard gauge, and on hit, oh boy, on hit. On hit, you are +1. Very astute learners who know something about frame data know that this means you can combo into his 1-frame command grabs. Okay, the 1-frame ones. The light one will, of course, become a new mix-up. Okay, and you also kind of have to be close enough. Depending on what you cancel into, it's possible that you'll be too far away to get the grab, but that's very difficult to actually accomplish. Okay, any of the 1-frame command grabs will combo there. All you have to do is link it, and it's very easy to link specials if you know about the button hold buffer, the buttonhole trick, whatever it's called. I have a video in my channel which explains that. Go to the very bottom. It's one of my oldest uploads. Watch that video if you're not aware what the buttonhole trick is. That makes this combo very easy. Oh, let's try it this way. Any 1-frame grab whatsoever. It will work. that's what the Vulcan punches are for. Last but not least is the Gatling attack, and it has a follow-up on the hard and EX versions, okay? Gatling attack. Let's go into what it is on block just so you understand how to not use this. It's punishable. Light version, terrible. Fierce version, even worse. EX version, terrible. Terrible. Horrible. Muy mal. Don't use it. Okay, on block. If you cancel into this and your opponent blocks this, you should be boned. Okay, this is another one of those Clark things, okay? You play against people that aren't very good, and you're not very good either, and you do this with Clark, and you'll do the armor grab, and you're going to catch a lot of people there. Because punishing in KOF is more difficult than it appears. You have to get used to the speed, you have to have a certain amount of experience, okay? But this is absolutely punishable at every range, okay? Even if it's possible for you to space this, okay? Notice I'm very, very close to the red Clark here. Notice the range here, how far away apart we are. Maybe a foot or two. Whereas you can sort of space it so it's over here. Okay? And if you do that, like, the distance between you is just a hair bigger. It's really hard for me to come up with a great example, honestly. But the idea is, most characters are going to be able to punish this regardless, especially characters that have ranged command grabs. Okay? I'm telling the dummy to hold up so he avoids any grab that's possible. Okay? You have a lot of time to punish this. Okay? Now the issue is that when you try to punish this move, you might be too far away for your close normals. And if you're too far away for your close normal, what happens is the far normal comes out, and because the far normal is usually slower than the close one, the Clark that just did the Gatling, which is unsafe, now has time to jump and totally do something. This is a very, very common scenario. Okay? You're going to try to block this Gatling here. Oops. And then you try to go for a normal. But what ends up happening is he armors through it, okay? I thought I was going to get the close normal. Well, it's going to depend on how far away you are when you blocked it. Okay? In Clark's case here, wow. In Clark's case, even if you block it point blank, Clark is not in close range right afterwards. Okay? But what you can do is you can actually run forward ever so slightly. You actually have time, although it's not a lot of time, to actually move forward just a hair and get that close normal. Okay? It's very easy to tell if you failed because it won't be a punish. If that happens, you were too slow. Okay? If he tries to do an armor grab after that, you try to run up and punish, then you were too slow. What you want to try to think of is punishes that don't require a close normal. If you can come up with any punish that doesn't require a close normal, that's what you're going to want to do. That's what you're going to want to do after the light or fierce or EX Gatling. Okay? If you actually, because most characters have a crouching normal that's going to reach. And especially one that's cancelable into bigger damage. Or go into HD off of that crouching normal. There's plenty of ways for you to punish this Gatling. Not the least of which, you could just avoid whatever he tries to do next. You could just backdash. If you're not consistent in your punishes, if you're not confident in them, just back up. Don't put yourself at risk for that armor grab. If you are the Clark player, what you want to try to do is not do the Gatlings on block. Don't cancel into them if your opponent is blocking your normals and such. Let's set him to one hit guard here. You know, you want to make sure you avoid these accidental cancels into the Gatling. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are confirming. Hit confirming is a very, very important skill. Just for a quick little rundown, set the dummy to crouch random guard, just like this, and do this string here with Clark. do crouching light kick, standing light kick. And every time it hits, go into the Gatling. But if it doesn't hit, don't. See, I already just failed. Okay, this is what we call hit confirming practice. And if you can do this in a real match, it will make you very, very good at fighting games in general, but specifically KOF. KOF requires a certain amount of hit confirming skill before you're going to be able to get very, very good, okay? Now, you know not to do it on block. Now you've been practicing your hit confirming and you can do it 10 times in a row. Well, that's great. So what do you need to know about it on hit to make sure that it always comes out? Well, here's the idea. On hit, on the light Gatling, you can immediately do another light Gatling, okay? And after the second light Gatling, you can immediately jump and hit hard kick. You need to hit that hard kick on the way up. If you don't hit it on the way up, then it's not going to actually combo. Okay? So you want to hit that hard kick just after you leave the ground. And it's going to need to be a full jump most of the time. Oh, I missed it. There we go. Scratch that. You can do it off a hop, but it's going to be a little more difficult. It's a lot easier to just hold up forward. Just hold up forward like this. And then just try to time the hard kick. Don't try to time the jump. Just hold up forward as soon as you see that second Gatling come out. And work on timing that hard kick. This hard kick is important. First of all, because it's free damage. Second of all, because it knocks them high in the air, that it gives you a chance for a setup. You could try for the armor grab if you want. You could try to hop again into another combo. You could hesitate into the one frame grab. There's plenty of things that you can do off of this. But specifically, it lets you travel horizontally across the screen. If you land 2 hits as Clark, you can use this, get that super jump hard kick, and knock them far away, and you can knock them all the way to the corner just for landing 2 hits anywhere else on the screen. Okay? The hard punch version is going to be difficult to combo into outside of juggles, but you can combo into it from the the crouching hard punch. Okay? It's also possible for you to combo it off of the close hard punch, but that's going to be very difficult without a neutral jump. Because remember, this is a charge move. You have to be holding back a certain amount of time. So you can't run up to your opponent and hit Fierce Punch and then have enough time to charge. You just don't have enough time. Remember that you cannot cancel the second hit of Standing Fierce into anything, but it does have a special property. It just for some reason allows you to cancel into Vulcan Punch, but not any other special or super. Okay? HD though, every normal can go into HD. So, the hard punch version of this, unless you're going to land a crouching hard punch, it's going to be tougher to combo into, but you can use it in various juggles, most of which I will go over when I get to the combo section, so hold your horses just a bit. The hard punch version is worse on block, is slower on startup, you know, it's not great, but what it does grant on hit is it grants a full juggle, when the light punch version grants a half juggle, okay? And here's what I mean by that. If you land the hard punch version, you can hit them any time that they're in the air. As long as they're still in the air after the hard punch version of this, you can hit them any time. But after the light punch version, you have a limited amount of time, and it's easier to demonstrate if I do 2. If I try to hit a standing jab right there, or anything really, it's not going to hit. And the reason it's not going to hit is because the juggle state is over. Whereas, on the hard version of the charge punch, the hard Gatling, the juggle state is never over as long as they're in the air. Okay? So there's various things you can do off of that. And also, if the hard punch version does hit, or the EX version, you do have a follow-up. See where it says Death Lake Driver? You can put a DP motion on the final hit and hit a punch, and basically you get a free air throw. You can use this to try to set up more offense and more combos. I will explain that trick. Don't worry about it. Whew! This is taking a while. Let's see. EX version, blue and flashy, travels pretty far, and has a similar effect to the hard punch version, but has more damage. This grants a full juggle, but it also recovers a little quicker, okay? Because it recovers quicker, you can just combo right off of it with another light Gatling into a hard kick, okay? Now, if your opponent is in the air, and this is important, if your opponent is in the air at almost any height, and you land the EX Gatling like this, you can land the Fierce Gatling, okay? It's just a matter of timing. But you need to get all 3 hits for this to work properly. Okay? Remember that the EX1 causes full juggle, and so does the hard punch version. So if you combo from the EX to the hard punch version, you can still add another light Gatling and then jumping hard kick. All they have to do is be in the air. If they're in the air, you can do 3 Gatlings in a row, followed by hard kick, followed by that mix-up. This makes it functional somewhat as an anti-air, especially in the hop range. At this range where your hyper hop CD is in effect. If you see them jump, you can let this out. And as long as you knock them high into the air with that last hit, you can do a triple Gatling combo. The key is that they have to be in the air. If they're not in the air, then what's going to happen is the Fierce Punch version is going to miss. As long as they're in the air at any height, it's pretty much going to work. Well, Juice, is it an actually feasibly good anti-air? Does it beat things? Does it beat things? Not really, but let me go into why. Okay? It actually has a propensity to trade, okay? It can trade more often than not. If you beat something with the EX Gatling, it's going to be because it was quick and because their jumping attack has not come out yet, okay? The speed of this move is what makes it a good anti-air. If you catch them with the back fist before their jumping attack comes out, then of course you'll beat it. Their attack wasn't out yet. It has good range and good speed, which is what makes it a feasible anti-air, but as far as actually clashing and colliding with other normals, it's very likely that it's going to trade. Juice, does it have any invincibility? Actually, no. I think it has like a frame or 2. I'm gonna test that. Yeah, okay. It has like a couple of frames of invincibility. A couple. Not a whole lot. I have to stress, not a lot. Okay? And let's do it this way here. Okay? My educated guess is that it has something like 2, 3, maybe 4 frames of invincibility on it. Most uppercuts are going to have more than that, okay? So it can go through a jumping attack if you time it perfect. But if you don't time it perfect, it's probably going to trade, okay? This can work on Wake Up even against lows, okay? Let's go ahead and do another meaty here. Let's do a little later one. There we go. Okay, it does have invincibility enough on it, just a couple of frames, so that you could go through ground attacks, okay? That was Crouch Fierce Punch. Let me go through Crouching Light Punch just to show that it beats lows as well. Okay, it has full body hit invincibility on its startup, but it's not a lot. Like, this, so this is another wake up option that you have. You've got the light grab, you've got the hard grab, you got supers, okay? And now you also have the EX Gatling, which on hit is going to grant you a small combo. And then a mix-up at the end of it, okay? It's important that you understand you want this to land as an anti-air. It's somewhat feasible as a wake-up move, but just like the other ones, it's going to be a full punish on block and you don't want to overutilize it, okay? I think this is actually going to beat this. Let me check for throw invincibility. Oh, bad. Let's see, what's a good way I can test this here? Let me try this test here. Ah, it's gonna be bad. Let's see. As far as whether or not it's actually throw invincible on startup, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, but I would love for someone to prove me wrong on that. If you can show me a grab actually grabbing the EX Gatling before or at the same time as, like, say, the first punch comes out, then I would probably take that as enough evidence that it's not throw invincible. My glasses just popped out. There we go. That said, it is full body hit invincible at the very least. At least that was verified on video today. So it is a feasible wake up. But just like with Clark's other stuff, don't overuse it. Again, at a higher level, it's not going to work as much. But you do get a cool combo off of it. Let's see here. What else was left? What else was left? Ah yes, don't forget that you can do the follow-up after the EX one if you would like, but usually it's not going to be worth it. Even if, like, notice the ground combo did 256. If you do the one with the hard kick, you're going to carry further and get a little more damage and get, you know, the same thing. What you'll want to decide here is if you want that untechable knockdown. If you want that untechable knockdown to go for something else, then please, by all means, take that. That's pretty much it. Vulcan Punch, which isn't that great, Gatling Attack, which is terrible on block, and Backbreaker, which kinda can't be blocked. You don't have a whole lot to go into off your normals, but once I finish explaining his super and his Neomax, I'll go into what his good ground game is useful of. Like what the good parts of his ground game are. Now, super! Double half circle back punch! Oh, it doesn't work hard. This is going to be his major damage dealer. And you're going to want to endeavor to try to combo into this whenever possible. Deep body! 360 for level 2. Oh, too slow. There it is. And 235 for level 1, okay? It's possible for you to combo into this from a ground string if you're really fast. This is kind of, if you'd like practice, see Clark's Trials. It is actually required of you in that case. Okay? Now another thing that you can use, remember this super grab, this actually has the extra range. Remember this example here with the EX grab, where the hard grab misses, but the EX grab connects? Well, put it here. The super grabs have that same range as the EX grab. Come on. Okay, so they reach a little further than they do up here. You can use this when your opponent wakes up, like as a mix-up. Like, your opponent might think that that's too far away. But what you can do is you can show him that it's not. The regular grab wouldn't work out there, but the super one does. Okay? So basically you just want to use it as another layer of your mix-up game as far as trying to fool them into blocking so that you can land that super grab by itself or from combos. Okay? It should also be stated that you can actually link into most of these supers. You know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and go over that when I get to the combo section. Yeah, it'll be a fun treat. Clark has a bit more hit confirm ability than he appears, but you have to link command grabs. Now, before I get to those combos, I just want to go over his Neomax really fast. In fact, take another step back. Remember how I was talking about those one-frame command grabs and how they're invincible? Same deal with the supers. Nothing has changed. Hard kick grab, EX grab, super grabs, all the same, in the sense of waking up with them, whether it's level 1 or level 2, doesn't matter. Now, the Neomax, Ultra Crackbuster! It has some full body invincibility on startup, but it isn't as fast as it might look. Okay? It's very easy to time a jumping attack such that this won't really come out in time. It is pretty fast on its own on the ground. Pretty fast. Not super fast, but decently so. He runs at you at about, say, the same speed that Kyo runs at you on the half circle back kick. Now this is actually a hit. This is not a grab. You set the dummy to all guard so that they block everything. You'll notice this doesn't work. Okay? This is not a grab. This actually has to hit your opponent. Okay? You can combo into it. In just the same way as his other command grabs. You just have to, you know, since you're comboing into it, you're giving yourself that hit stun. It's good damage. It's one hit. It's invincible, so you could use it as an anti-air. If someone like full jumps at you over here. You could try anyway. Okay. In fact, I'm gonna probably say that this isn't a good anti-air. Yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of invincibility on it. It's not even a great anti-air. This is one of those Neomaxes you pretty much reserve for combos only. Okay? And if you're curious how the max cancel works while you're in HD mode, either of the super grabs, when the elbow lands automatically, go into the super. There we go, just like that. Now, so honestly, stay away from it. Unless someone makes a really big mistake and you can punish with that, like the run forward enables some interesting punishes. Unless you can actually punish something with that Neomax, it's not going to be the greatest idea to try. Save it for combos. So that's all his moves. I spent a lot of time on the Backbreaker, and there's a good reason for that. Make sure you understand each of these specials before you start playing with Clark, so you can have a better gameplay experience and understand what each of the things are for, how to apply them to your strategy. Now, the good part. How do I play with Clark? What's the basic strategy? Honestly, the way you play with Clark is very, very basic. Are they blocking? Ask yourself that. No? Then move forward. How do you want to move forward? Your choice. Try a step. Try to run forward and hit hard kick. Try to run forward and hit a crouching hard kick if they let you that close. Okay? Run forward and hop with a CD. Hop with a light kick if you think they're going to be in the air. Hop with the jabs if you think they're going to stay on the ground. Okay? CD also works in that case in case they block. Okay? Your major question is, are they blocking? If they are blocking, there's a few things you can do. Okay? What you want to do is move forward. Honestly, this is not unique to Clark. What I'm explaining is the basic fundamental gameplay of KOF. If your opponent is blocking, you want to try to take advantage of that. If they're sitting there, try to move forward to break their defense. Just make them say, you can't just sit there. Stop that. If they're just going to sit there, run up and grab them. But nobody's going to let you run up and grab them. So run up and then do a hop. Run up and then hop at them. Run up and then hop backwards to defend yourself. Run up and try a crouch D into a step. Run up and see if they let you do a close hard punch into a step or whatever else. The point is, there's not really a right answer. The point is that you have to try to break your opponent's defense. What if they're on offense, Juice? Then defend yourself. Use a neutral jump into a light kick or a CD. Okay? Jump forwards. If you think your opponent is going to jump forwards at a particular time, then jump towards them at that time. Let's say you know a moment where your opponent's going to do a hop CD. Right now, wait a minute. My opponent is about to do a jump CD. If I jump towards him right now, I can intercept him in the air, and you absolutely can. That's the key. Be proactive. Don't think of anti-air as something that has to be reactionary. If you do, you will get jumped in on all day. Welcome to King of Fighters. If you want to anti-air someone, or stop someone from jumping at you, hit them while they are jumping at you with your own jump, or with a well-timed grounded anti-air, or with the special move that you throw out preemptively. Be preemptive. proactive about it. Same definition, more or less for my purposes, okay? If you sit there too much, then if you try to react to hops, what's going to happen more often than not is you're going to be too slow, okay? It is possible for you to react to hops in general offline if you're really good. If you're not really good, it will be very difficult to, it will be very difficult to anti-air hops when you see them. It takes a lot of reaction time and experience before you can do that. So be proactive about it. If you think your opponent is going to jump at you at a time, jump just before that time towards them. And then go for something, okay? Now, whew, your opponent is blocking, get in there. Well, I'm in there, I don't know what to do now. And there's a really basic mix-up you can do, okay? Here's a really basic one. I didn't invent it, but it's great. If your opponent blocks a jumping CD, or any jumping attack really, one thing you could do is you could just immediately armor grab. Just armor grab right when you land. Okay? If you do a CD, you might want to delay this just a hair. Okay? Okay? If they try to attack you with something, they are going to hit that armor because of your frame advantage off the jump in, and you're going to get that grab. Let me go ahead and demonstrate this using the dummy. Mashing? Get armored, son. Mashing that crouching light kick? Well, let's do it this way. There we go. Better. Better. Look at that. The idea is you got to get the timing of this armor grab right. If you time this armor grab right before they're allowed to attack, that means that any attack that they try is going to hit that armor. And what if they try to throw? Well, remember, you're throw invincible. So what you can do is you can use this to scare them into blocking, okay? This accomplishes two things. They're either going to say, I'm going to try to wait and try to react to that armor grab. And many bad players can't even do that, okay? So this is going to work really, really well. But what if they get smart? What if, say, they block your jump CD, and then say they backdash? What if they backdash? Or what if they neutral jump and try to punish your attempt? Okay, what if that happens? Well, then what you need to do is basic KOF offense. Basic. The things that every character can do. Try this instead. Why not hop again? If you think your opponent's going to backdash, hop again. Catch it. If you think your opponent's going to jump, hop again. Catch it. Or another thing you could do. Air throw. Okay? If you think, like, one thing you could do after a hop CD is you could full jump immediately afterwards, and if they jump, there's a good chance you're going to get that air. Oh, look at that. Better than I could have planned it. What if they backdash? Well, if they backdash, no harm done. The point is that if you use that armor grab enough, you will make your opponent so scared that they'll feel like they have to move. And if you feel that they're going to move, just don't do any grab and just continue hopping in. This is a very basic, very effective form of offense for Clark. Do a hop CD. Then decide if you want to do the armor grab or if you want to jump again. Now, there is a particular technique called alternate guard. I want to do a separate video on it, okay? But it is possible for an opponent to avoid both of these scenarios without having to subject himself to too much risk, okay? In fact, I might as well show you while we're on this video since it's so important when you're fighting against Clark. Let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. Let's say they block this and they continue crouch guarding. Notice that that armor grab connects. If they just hold down back, happens, right? I want you to watch what I do with the white and red Clark here. Are you noticing what I'm doing? Alternate guard is exactly what it sounds like. Alternate high and low guard. if you alternate high and low guard after blocking something, you increase your throw invincibility window. How long do you increase it? As long as you want. I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. You can do this infinitely. You just have to be really good at it. I kid you not. If you put someone in block stun, they can choose to be throw invincible as long as they want. All they have to do is go between down back and back. Now, let me show you that this doesn't work from neutral, okay? If your opponent... in fact, let me just do it this way. This doesn't work unless you get some block stun first, okay? If you try to do this just by itself, then it doesn't do anything. You have to be in block stun in order for the alternate guard to actually work. Now, there is another state that is similar to block stun that also has this function. The game sees them as the same, and that is what we call proximity guard. Have you ever noticed? Have you ever noticed that if you try to block an opponent, if you hold back or down back against an opponent, notice that I'm entering that guard state even though I'm pretty far away? Even if an attack doesn't make contact, there is a range, it's different for every attack, where if the opponent is holding back or down back, you will trigger a guard state. Even though you haven't put them in block stun, they can use this proximity guard, the guard within a particular range of a certain proximity. They can use this proximity guard to still trigger alternate guard. Okay? That time I failed. They can trigger alternate guard off of the proximity. So what you need to be aware of as a Clark player is that they may alternate guard you if you use a lot of jumping offense, okay? Here's a common mix-up that you might see in higher level matches. Okay? Notice that I blocked the CDs and then I began to alternate guard. Okay? Now also notice, remember that one mix-up I said where you do a jump CD and then you full jump? Well, in that case, I'm holding back, I'm walking backwards, and I'm alternating, and I have the chance to see that, and I can block that jump in easily. So you as a Clark player might say, how do I beat alternate guard? Well, there's two ways. There's two ways, and one way isn't really beating it. The first way is the way that I want to condone. I want you to get used to doing this. This is a KOF thing. This is a thing that you can't really do well in other 2D fighters, but you should endeavor to do this in King of Fighters, because this is how the offense works. If they keep guarding, and you know they're not going to press a button, don't stop attacking. I'm not even kidding. Just do this. Do this all day. If they're not willing to anti-air you, then keep jumping in. Look at my guard gauge. This is what the guard gauge is for. If the opponent is blocking for so long, punish them for doing so by continuously saying, oh, I have frame advantage, I have frame advantage, I'm jumping, what you gonna do, brother? At some point, they're gonna have to do something, otherwise you're going to break their guard. So don't worry about beating the alternate guard straight up, just take away as much guard gauge as they'll give you. Take it away, because if you get in with another jump CD, now they have to guess. Because if they block another one, they're gonna get their guard broken. Case in point. Oh no! No! Ah! They can't block all day. So conversely, or along the same lines, along the same lines of blocking all day, they cannot alternate guard all day. If you're a Clark, and you're playing against people that are using alternate guard, don't care about it. Just keep jumping in, over and over and over again, and that is going to make them go, oh geez, I need to stop alternate guarding. When they stop, armor grab, or jump C. That's the simple mix-up. There's other things you can do, and I will go over them, okay? But the point is, that's pretty much all there is to Clark. You get in. If they're trying to get in on you, use the jump CD or even the EX Gatling, okay? Remember that catch them in the air I was talking about? Use jumping light kick. Use all of these as anti-air. Standing C is decent. Standing A is decent, okay? Jumping hard kick is decent. Use all of these as anti-airs and air-to-airs, okay? Defend yourself with those, and when you get in, play very, very basic. It's just a question of, are they going to continue blocking or not? That's the real question. If they're not going to continue blocking, there's a good chance that jumping C as a very simple mix-up could catch something. If not, what you need to do is go low, okay? Remember where I said with alternate guard, there's 2 ways to beat it. Well, there are stand guarding in the middle of this. So if you can actually get a low attack to connect, then combo into something. Just like that. Catch that low during the alternate guard. There you go. If you have an overhead, which Clark doesn't, by the way, if you have an overhead, then you could try an overhead as well while they're alternate guarding. Keep in mind, this works against all throws, not just command grabs, all throws in general. There you go. Go low or don't care. And when it comes to Clark, as long as you know how to beat alternate guard, the rest is basics. Are they blocking all day? Hop, 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 hop. Make them make a decision. When you think they're going to make a decision, go for armor grab or go low into a confirm. Don't forget your Gatling combos. Don't forget the setups you get after Gatling, after anti-airs. The combos you get after Gatlings. As long as you know all these things, that's really all there is to playing Clark. So next you're going to need to know what are the combos I go into if I land a combo. And that is what I'm going to show you now. The issue with Clark is more often than not you're only going to have 2 attacks to confirm. 2. So if you are practicing confirming, I highly recommend you practice these 2 strings. Crouch light kick, crouch light punch, and crouch light kick, stand light kick. In either way, the second attack is cancelable. And this is going to be the basic combo you can always do, even if you're a little further away. Okay? So, if you land crouching lights, this is pretty much all you're going to get. Now, if you have a drive meter, here's something you can do, though. Oh, did a little wrong. Shoutouts to the Mexican KOF community for showing me this. Oh. Oh. Alright, I'll just set him to one-hit guard to make this quicker. Sorry it's taking so long, everyone. Okay. This is an important combo for one drive you're going to want to know if you want to be a high-level Clark. What you got to do is you got to do 1 light Gatling and then do a Vulcan punch as soon as you possibly can. Oof. And then, the exact moment that first Vulcan connects, go into the Fierce Gatling. And you're going to get the last hit of the Fierce Gatling, which causes a full juggle. But because you got them so high in the air with that Fierce Gatling, you can get another Fierce Gatling. And then the light Gatling, just like off the normal combos, and then the jump hard kick. You can use this combo anywhere on the screen if you land those first 2 attacks. Not only can you land it anywhere on the screen, but it's going to take them everywhere on the screen. It's a very, very useful combo to know, okay? Now, if you don't have a drive meter, basically another thing you could do with a drive, this is a little easier. Is you could do a second light Gatling just like you would for meterless. But then you're going to drive cancel the first hit of that second light Gatling into a step. Then you're going to hold up forward and hit hard punch right when you leave the ground. You can trigger the air throw on up forward, don't forget this. This makes it a bit easier to trigger, so you don't have to hit forward or back. And then from there, go into your offense again. This is a nice untechable knockdown and decent damage for a drive. Okay. Very useful. Either way, you're going to get a mix-up though, so personally, just my opinion, I would just take this mix-up. Because either way, you're going to do good damage and get a mix-up. I would only spend that drive if I really, really wanted that untechable knockdown. Or if I was doing the Vulcan punch variation to make sure I carry them to the corner. Oy. It will be tough to land, but if you practice this, this will be a good combo to know. Now, you might say, okay, well here's these combos, well what if I have a bar? Well, if you have a bar, there's not a whole lot of easy stuff you can do. There are some things you can do, but most of them are going to be execution heavy, like for example, canceling to a super, okay? Now there is one other way to combo to a super though, that's not a cancel, and you might want to take note of this. You can actually link into the supers after certain attacks. I am not canceling that standing light kick. I did not cancel that crouching light punch. I did not cancel the standing light punch. I did not cancel this crouching light kick. You can actually link his level 1 super or his level 2 super off of various strings, okay? And this means that if you're quick enough, it's possible that you can confirm off of 2 hits, but you can use hits that you wouldn't otherwise use, and you get a little more time because you don't have to cancel the second hit. But this involves doing 2 half circles really fast. So I'll warn you, this is very difficult to do, and there are some Clark players that still can't do this. Okay? But it is something to think about if you want to be a higher level Clark. You can link into his super off of various things. Okay? Another thing you could possibly do is go into something cancelable like a standing jab and try to combo into the EX Vulcan. Because then you can link one of the command grabs. Oh, come on. There we go. Just like that. Woo! Oh, don't get that by accident. Oh, I'm too slow. Oof. There we go. Woo! Remember, either super will work there. Level 1 or level 2, doesn't matter. So you could combo to EX Vulcan, you could go to light Gatling. You could, of course, don't forget, cancel straight to command grab. Don't forget about that either. If you land that command grab, get that elbow, get that mix-up. You have options. But all of these options involve you confirming off of 2 hits. You need to practice this. Crouch, random guard. If you do not practice this, the 99% of your damage is just going to come from you jumping in and grabbing and your opponent not being able to counter. Your ability to confirm with Clark is what will take you from an average Clark or a mediocre Clark to a great one. Confirm off of 2 hits and then get the mix-ups afterwards. Okay. Now, if you land a close fierce or a close hard kick, hard punch or hard kick, basically what you want to do is you want to go into the down forward light punch and then combo to a grab of some kind. You can combo to the super if you can manage it and if you have fast hands, but if not, just go ahead and go into the regular 1-frame grab and take the free mix-up. Okay, it's good damage, just under 300, and then you get a nice mix-up where you can do all the same combos off of that jumping. Work on confirming this too. Make sure you stop at the down forward A if they block it. Got it. Woof. You can do the same thing with close hard kick, and all the same combos still apply. Okay, don't forget, you can always go into the EX grab and then spend another bar and a drive to go for some more damage there. And then, mix up. Okay, so, close hard punch, close hard kick. Let's say you land a crouch light kick. There's some links you can learn. But of course, you could go into the low jab. On hit, you can go into the standing jab. I failed to mention that. On hit, that standing jab is going to work on everyone. Okay. Also, if you are point blank, if you're as close as possible, you can do 2 crouching light kicks into a standing light punch on hit. And this might make that confirm a bit easier for you. Okay? Now, what about the corner? In Clark's case, there are some things you'll want to keep in mind with the corner, okay? There's 2 things. First thing is that if for some reason you combo into the Fierce Gatling and they're on the ground, you can land a Vulcan after the 3rd hit without a drive cancel. Oh, no drive cancel. Okay, and then you can land a light Gatling and then a jumping hard punch, hard kick, excuse me. Okay, just like all the other ones. Okay, there you go. Same mix-up, same situation. It's not common that you're going to get the opportunity to combo to a fierce one like that, and if they're in the air, you usually want to go for one of the repeated Gatling juggles that I showed you earlier. Now, another thing to consider. You've done the simple, basic bread and butter over and over, right? Where you do 2 light Gatlings into this. Well, there is a trick, a specific execution trick that Clark can use to drive cancel from the light Gatling to the fierce Gatling, which is usually not allowed in the game system. You can't drive cancel from the light version of a move to the fierce version of a move. It's not possible in the game system. You have to trick the game system. And only some characters can do it. Clark and Billy are the only ones that come to mind. There might be more. But, watch this. Here's what you need to do. Right there, on the 2nd hit of the 2nd light Gatling, you need to press punch, punch, punch while charging, then press forward and hit the 4th punch. If you do this properly, what's going to happen is the game is going to think you drive canceled into the Vulcan punch. But for whatever reason, it gives you the fierce Gatling instead. To learn the timing of the 4 punches, just hold back and hit 4 punches in a row. If you can drive cancel into the Gatling on that last hit, then that's all that you need. All you have to do is now add the forward direction. And that's all it is. We're good. Okay. So, once you add the double Gatling here, excuse me, if you can do this drive cancel, then you can do another light Gatling after the fierce and then a jump hard kick, or you could take the follow-up off of the fierce Gatling, do the DP punch follow-up, you're going to do a little more damage, and then you get the untechable knockdown. It's up to you. Do whatever you'd like. Okay? I should also let it be known that it is possible to land 2 more light Gatlings, but it's very difficult. If you let them fall a bit and hit them with a light Gatling as low to the ground as possible, then it is possible for you to then, because you hit them low, get another light Gatling. Yep, that was too high. That was also too high. Let me try to get this. That was still too high. It's very, very difficult to do, but it gets you a little extra stun. Also, as I just showed you there, it's possible to do that drive cancel too late. So make sure you're not dilly-dallying too much. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally. Ah, it's too late. There it is. Boom, boom. It's possible to land double light Gatling there, but it's difficult. And by the way, the damage isn't really much better than doing the fierce Gatling and then the follow-up. What you do get is more stun. You need to be able to do this to do some of Clark's higher level stun stuff. But honestly, if you're a beginner, don't worry about that. Just know that it's possible. Okay? If your opponent is cornered, that drive cancel adds some extra combo ability for you. But other than that, you are for the most part going to be going for the same mix-ups and the same resets in these situations. Okay? Good old. Other than that, there's really nothing else that you're going to gain from the corner. It's possible. It's possible for you to do some really, really tricky, cool corner HD combos involving that drive cancel trick and HD mode and some other stuff, but I will link you to a video that shows you that particular HD combo. But you should know that other than that, Clark doesn't really gain a whole lot from the corner, just a scarier untechable knockdown and that drive cancel trick. This, okay? If you try to do it outside of the corner, it won't work. Okay? Because the fierce moves him too far forward. You need the corner for that to work. Next. Honestly, those are all the combos I use. You do a string of 2 into a light Gatling, or you do a string of 2 into a command grab, or you do a close hard punch or hard kick string of 2 into a command grab. That's it. Add cross-ups, add delays, add frame traps, add the basic KOF offense, and making sure your opponent is scared enough to try to get them to alternate guard and take away their guard gauge. And that's it. That's all I do with Clark. Honestly, I think if you did that, you would be a great Clark. You don't need to think too hard. You just need to understand what offensive tools you have and what defensive tools you have at those situations so you can pick the right ones and understand when a decision is required of you. Okay? Clark is not a complicated character combo-wise. You just got to learn this trick. And once you can do this trick, the rest of it is smooth sailing. Okay? Also, being able to link into a super helps immensely. Immensely. That's something you can really, really practice if you're really gung-ho. Last but not least, HD mode. Alright. So, I'll be honest. When it comes to Clark's HD mode, if you're not going into a max cancel, okay? If you're not going to do a super grab and then his Neomax, it's probably not worth the meter, okay? And here's what I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's say I get a close hard kick, right? Let me show you a 3-bar 1-drive combo off close hard kick. $6.18. This is 3 bars and 1 drive meter. So what if we spent 3 bars and both drive meters on an HD combo? I'll tell you right now, unless we do some super, super complicated Gatling shenanigans in the corner, this is going to be the best you're going to get. Now this damage is going to be a bit more. 823. Wow, that's over 200 more damage than the 3-bar 1-drive. But this is difficult, okay? The problem with this is landing that super after the HD string. This can be difficult, okay? Okay? It can be difficult to land that super after the HD string. So, okay, you might say, well, what if I do the EX grab to make it easier? Well, if you do that, now you've increased the cost by a bar. Not to mention, what was it, 823 for 3? You added like 60 damage for that other bar, right? Now, granted, if you spend that much meter on an HD, it's going to do a lot of damage regardless. But my point is that if you're not going to go right into that Neomax after a super cancel, you're not going to be getting the huge damage. And that can be difficult execution-wise for some people if you don't have 4 or 5 bars. If you want to be really good, you're going to want to learn how to cancel into that super without doing an EX grab. And if you can do that, you can probably do that without the HD confirm anyway. You could just do this. Okay? And that could be good damage, and you'll be able to save the drive meter for other situations. Drive meter is very useful with Clark. Okay? It's something that you might want to consider saving, especially if you've got a really good character like Wajai or Takuma coming up. That said, okay, there is another technique you can use. I ended up explaining a bunch of techniques in this video. There's another technique you can use to make this a little easier. It's something called an HD bypass, and I want to show you this. The max cancel isn't the important part. Here's what you need to know. It is possible for you to activate HD mode and a special move or a super move or a Neomax move at the same time. Now, when I say the same time, I don't mean on the exact same frame. But what I'm saying is you will enter HD mode and then immediately do that special or that super. See? Right there I did an HD bypass into armor grab. Right here, HD bypass into the EX command grab. And it's not as difficult as it sounds. Bypass is a weird word, but all you have to do is press hard punch and light kick at the same time that you finish the special move, like this. Okay? If you do this with Clark, go ahead and do close hard punch. On the second punch, input half circle forward, hard punch, and light kick, and hard kick. You press all three at the same time, and there is a little bit of leeway, by the way. You will activate HD, and then immediately activate the EX grab. That's it. It's not rocket science. You just landed an EX grab. Go with the flow. Now, this may take some practice for you to get consistently, but this is something that you absolutely should endeavor to try to use in your matches. This is something that Clark can really use. Okay, various characters can HD bypass off of various things, but what you need to know is that you can go into the EX grab instantly, or for a little bit tougher but more also manageable, tougher but also manageable, is you can try to do HD and one of your super grabs at the same time. And this means all you have to do is go to Neomax. Not only that, but it also means because your combo is so fresh, you're going to get the maximum amount of damage possible on that Neomax. Okay? This is something that's very good to know if you're a Clark player, because this close hard punch gives you 2 hits, and you can cancel either hit into HD. So, you could run up and do close hard punch, especially if this is going to punish. You buffer that super, and if it hits, you hit all three, you hit both punches and light kick at the same time. By hitting hard punch and light punch at the same time, you activate HD and the super at the same time. You can do this with a level 1 super if you want. If you just input hard punch and light kick for the HD by itself, you will get the super if you do input those double half circle backs. Experiment with the HD bypass. This is something that will be very useful to you as you get into the intermediate level and you have more control of your combos. This is something that you can absolutely use. Hey. Okay. Honestly though, unless you get into really complicated corner Gatling juggle crazy stuff, then there's not many better HD combos that you're going to get with Clark. Just for fun, I'll show you what his kill combo is because it's very easy, honestly. I bet you know what I'm going to do next. There you go. Very easy 5-bar kill combo. Woo! That's a fun one to practice. Not often you'll have 5 bars in both drives and land a full jump hard punch, but whatever. It's an easy kill combo. This took over 2 hours, but I want to stress that when you have a good knowledge of the fundamentals and the special moves of a character, that's all you need. You don't need any more, okay? If you know what each move is for, and you know what each of your normals is good at, then you can create your own strategies. Strive to understand what your moves are for. That's the entire point of this tutorial series. The reason I'm saying this now is because Clark is not a complicated character, but I spent 2 hours on him because I wanted you to understand all the super basic stuff that's going on, okay? When you're jumping in the air, it's just about when your normal comes out and which you pick. That's it. But that's true of all characters. When you're in your opponent's face, it's a question of how much they're blocking and how much they're not blocking, and your ability to intercept either option. But that's every character. Most of the things I taught you with Clark's command grab, other command grab characters can use. Most of the things I taught you about breaking down your opponent's guard, every single character can use. Everything I said about air-to-airing and anti-airing in general, other characters can use. They just have to use different specials. Clark is a basic character, and if it weren't for him having a bunch of reversals that are really great at destroying people that suck at the game, if it weren't for that, I would recommend him for beginners. But if you are a beginner, I just want to caution you for the last time. If you spam reversals and you win, then your opponents aren't good enough, and you're going to hit a plateau where you're just going to be reversaling and you're going to be getting a bunch of damage. And you want to make sure that if you want to be a good Clark player, that you know how to defend in other ways, and that you can confirm off of these 2 hits. Because if you can do that, then you will have a functional offense. And the key to being a good Clark is having a functional offense, because 90% of the Clarks out there rely on their defense, because people who are bad at the game have trouble getting away from his reversal grabs, air grab, NEX Gatling. That's just the final thought that I'm going to leave you with. Honestly, there's not a whole lot going on else going on with the character, but I do want to put a link in the description. Of course, the frame data is there, but I'm also going to put a link to that 2-bar HD combo that Bala, who of course got 2nd place at EVO 2012, one of the best KOF13 players. He created a nice little 2-bar HD combo in the corner, and I'm going to show, there's a link there for that combo in case you want to increase the damage on some of your corner stuff and you want to be a little bit more creative with your HD combos. I will link you to that combo. But that said, thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me for the 2 hours, 12 minutes it took me to explain Clark. I will see you next time with the next character on the next Juicy Bits.